Hey YouTubers, just another update on my Exmark turf tracer. This is gonna be a talking video. You're not gonna see this thing in action at all. So if you don't want to hear me talk for 5-6 minutes, might as well leave now. Fair warning. Anyway, I'm gonna start with what I did to the engine. First thing I did was I hooked up the throttle and choke, so that works now. You can probably hear the choke butterfly kicking in. Yep. So that works. I also got the shroud bolt and dipstick bolt. Ow, that's hot. I just had this thing running not that long ago. So now the dipstick is in place and it's not leaking down there. I have pressure washed this thing multiple times, even with the leak, but I'll get to that here in a minute. I got that shroud bolt. I also got the fuel pump bracket, so now that is secure on there. I adjusted the rocker arms in there, so now they're set to the right gap that they're supposed to have and they're not ticking. Some of you probably noticed that in the previous video when it was running. I also adjusted the throttle, so it ramps up a little bit higher now, like it's supposed to, and the blades are at their optimum blade tip speed for a 48. Probably the engine's around 32, maybe 3100 RPM, so that's good. I have not gotten to the blade spindle bearings yet. They're in a box, or separate boxes over there. I don't want to do that until the end of the season because I don't want to do something wrong and then this thing be broken down for the rest of the season. So that's why I'm holding off on that. Done an oil change on the engine, so there's no more water in it. Or if there is, there's very little, but it's probably already evaporated out. The hydro pump, I have fixed the leak on that. All it was that bypass valve. There is I got a whole new bypass valve with the plastic ring and O-ring on there. The issue with the old one was it had a crack in the plastic ring and on the chamfer where the bypass valve points and seats on the seat inside there was worn away. It had a ring in it, so I'm assuming it was allowing oil to get through that and then past that O-ring. So that's fixed. There is no longer a puddle of shame underneath this. If you guys have any leaking hydros on an Exmark, check your bypass valves first, especially if you see oil coming up on there. I made that mistake. So you might not have to rebuild your pump and you might not have to get a new pump. It could be just something as simple as a bypass valve. What else have I done? Put more oil in the reservoir to make up for the stuff that it kept leaking out, and it is staying at the proper level now. Just in case you guys are wondering what oil these things take, it is 15W50 Mobil 1. It doesn't have to be Mobil 1, but that's the only stuff that I could find in that viscosity. What else? There's something else. Oh, I adjusted the lock on this side and on this side, so now they are easier to put on and off, and it also locks it better. I haven't figured out the exact serial number on this thing, but I figured out around the year that it was made. I think it was around 2003, 2004, which would make sense because that was the year that they released the ECS controls where these are flipped around the other way and they're angled inwards. So that would make sense. I know this thing is supposed to have a parking brake, but apparently whenever this came out, that was an option, which I think is ridiculous. It should have had it in the first place. But whatever, I'm not having this thing on a trailer that often anyway. I also have ordered a new LEAKY wheel because there's a crack in this one, and these are supposed to be like never flats or whatever, but whenever it gets a crack in it, its structural integrity is shot, so it just kind of squishes whenever you're riding it. That was $140 because it is basically the same as the caster wheels on a 60 walk behind. But also it's because of, you know, Exmark. They mark up everything. They make good stuff, but they mark up all their parts and stuff like that. Anyway, I think that's about it for what all I've done to this. Hopefully I didn't blab your ears off, but if you continued watching, you heard the warning in the beginning of the video, so not my fault. There should be a mowing video coming up soon. I don't know exactly when, but just stay tuned for that in the future, and that's all for this video. See you guys in the next one.